Ed has been in the Finance Council for a long time. Kevin is also here, Kevin Fisher. And I know you've been wanting to, of course, Alan. And who else from the Finance Council? Yeah, Dennis is here, yes. And thank you so much. So, they're going to present tonight the capital campaign, financial update. It'll be a longer period of time, so take it away.
I've been around for a little while, so you've seen me give some of these speeches at the pulpit during Father John's tenure. But this is about my 18th or 19th year on finance, so I have a lot of history. Actually, I was anticipating doing two sections tonight. One will be, we'll talk a little bit about the capital campaign and this thing called the diocesan loan that people have heard about. And the other is just sort of a financial update of where we are. Oh, you can't hear me? Okay. Okay. Better? I hate these things. Okay. I like to move around. And then we'll have a little update on where we are just from an operational standpoint. So, which is what a lot of the Finance Council has focused on over the years to make sure that we keep the lights on, that we can keep the ministries and programs, do the mass, etc. So let me first start by saying I am not the expert on the capital campaign or that side of the house. That's Kevin Fisher has been intimately involved in that from the very beginning, and we'll talk about what some of those things are, as well as some of the conversations they had with the diocese as we went along the process of building this facility. So first slide, next slide. All right, so first off, in 20 years, believe it or not, there's been $19 million of improvements, almost $19 million of improvements to the parish and the school. Okay, so why don't we go to the next slide? Let me give you a list of what those are real quick. It really started with the addition of the school, the second story, back in 2002, and that was actually the original, very first capital campaign. And that capital campaign raised about $2 million. Half of it was kind of stuck aside for, at the time, the building of a church, the thought of a church, and the other half went to the school. And the school had money, and they got some additional money funds, and they basically built this $4 million facility. Now, you'll see there's a whole bunch of things up there. There's both school and parish. I don't know if you remember, Father John used to come up with names for things, like Let There Be Light was the program to get the church lighting and electrical done, and Hillside Happening, and Stairway to Heaven. So he'd make up these names, and many of these things were self-funded or by many parishioners here, and then some were through the capital campaigns. But the big enchilada here, obviously, is the $11.5 million community center that we're in. And that's the really big nut that we work towards, really beginning in the early 2000s. So, next slide. So, let's go back and look at these projects. As I mentioned, all those projects were funded either through the generosity of individuals or groups of individuals, as well as 3 capital campaigns. Next slide. Those 3 capital campaigns, probably should have made this a little bigger, but that first one I talked about was in 2002, and that was, I'm showing the start date. Now, many of these run over multiple years, and that raised about $2 million. Half of it was used by the school, and we got to stick half of it, or $1 million kind of aside for when we were going to use it later. There were 2 subsequent capital campaigns. The big one was in 2015. In 2015, we had a pledge of over $5.6 million. We collected 5.5. There's about 100,000 still outstanding. Keep in mind that over time, some people can't, finish their commitments. We have people move away. We have people die for a variety of reasons. Now, over time, as we got closer to seeing this thing as a vision, going from a vision to a reality, we realized that we needed a second campaign, and this was the thing in 2018. The 2018 one was a campaign that also included what I'll call a commitment or a pledge by the school. And what that goes back to is that when we realized the amount of funding that we had and the size of this facility, the school needed something bigger. They wanted something bigger for their programs, for being able to seat a lot of people here for their auctions, for other events. So the idea was we needed to get more, without going through another campaign, we needed to get sort of a bigger campaign pledge out of the second one. And this is where the school, under, not with Molly, but the prior leadership, Karen Goodshaw, and Father John, and people on the capital campaign committees, and people involved in the actual creation of this, or managing the building of this thing, basically got the school to, and working with the diocese, to use the school sort of as the backstop for this particular $2 million loan. So it was able to get to the size and scope that the school, as well as even the parish, I mean, I think in 2020, after this was done, we had 225 people who had a crab feed in here. Come on, this, I mean, how many could you get in the old lean-to? Maybe 75? So, you know, we're talking about a much bigger facility, much more functionality. So now let's go to the next slide. Keep that number, keep those two numbers in mind. One is 2.5, and the other is the 2. So let's go back to this original slide. So basically, through escalation costs, inflation, construction costs, when it was done, this community center came in at over $11 million. Okay, that's what this thing cost to build. Everything from architectural to site work to the construction itself, everything. So we've been all in. And again, as I mentioned before, part of that size and scale of this thing had to do with accommodating some of the needs of the school, which is what then allowed them to sort of step up and say, okay, we're going to help backstop this additional money that the diocese loaned to the construction project. So that's where the $2 million came in. So it was really a combination of the monies that had been secured, had been collected, monies that were coming in, as well as the $2 million loan. Okay? So, and again, Kevin was ultimately or intimately involved in this, in the negotiations with the diocese, but it had to do with being able to look at the financial viability of the school. They are a pay-for-service business model as opposed to a donation business model that is associated with the school, with the parish. So they had the ability to contribute this kind of gravitas to this whole project. Now, how did $2 million, we've mentioned before, the $2 million is now like 2.5. What happened? Well, COVID. COVID got in the way because we finished this thing in 2019, started to do stuff, and then everything shut down. At the same time, there's a lot of concern, and I believe there was we had some financial issues with the uncertainty of what impact that would have both on the parish and the school. The school, fortunately, has, at the time, to conserve cash, uncertainty about the future, there was sort of a 2-year period where there was no payments made on that $2 million loan. So in essence, all that accrued interest sort of got rolled into the cost of the loan, for lack of a better term. And in the beginning of 2022 is where Father John was still here and negotiated amortization schedule, a 10-year amortization schedule was put in place to basically pay that thing off for 10 years. Okay? And right now, that thing is coming in at about $29,000 a month, 20 of which is provided by the school. The school basically pays to the capital campaign. And then the parish picks up the difference. Okay, so that's sort of the way that this is planned out over the next 10-year period to deal with it without having to go back for a third capital campaign. Kevin tells me the story that when he was first talking to the folks who actually built the facility, they said, you always got to go back for a third one. And we said, no, we're not going to do that. We're going to try to figure a different way. So the builder's experience has been in everything that they've built, particularly with the Catholic churches, is it usually needs a third capital campaign to get it over the top. But that was not, I think it was brought up at times with Father John. There was no appetite to do that. We had COVID. There was all these things going on. So basically, the conversation was, how can we do this within the context of the commitments that were made and the operations of the parish? So that was kind of where we end up. So we'll take questions later, and Kevin is here and he can get into all the nuances of some of these things because he was involved in some of the discussions directly with Paul Bongiovanni, who was the CFO at the diocese, in terms of being able to pencil all this thing out. But basically the takeaway is, we've done a lot. We built this humongous, great facility. One of the reasons it's bigger than probably what I would have guessed is that part of it was to address greater needs than we thought initially, both from the school and the parish. And we have a vehicle in place to basically pay this debt off. Okay? So, that's the capital campaign loan discussion. Let's go, next slide. Let's just talk about the parish financials in general. COVID did a number on everybody, not just us. Every denomination, every faith had significant impacts regarding COVID. I will say that since we have seen a real significant deterioration in the last, really since coming out of COVID, since the beginning of 2022. What I've read recently is things are starting to come back. Attendance is coming back. Donations are up in many denominations, but the last thing I saw is that the 34% participation of Catholics is now down to 31%. Well, that's a 10% drop. I know it's only 3 percentage points, but that's, take your pot of people and take 10% of them away. So I think the message in terms of the financial condition of the parish right now is just reduce participation. Okay, and we're not the only ones. It's coming back, but it's slow. We've had a change of pastors. We had Father John, who ever needed money, he'd just go up and put his arm around somebody and they'd write him a check. Okay? I mean, John built 25 years of that type of relationship with his parishioners. And Father Jimmy's not there yet. That additional diocesan loan interest, that sort of just nothing really happened for a couple of years, got built back in. We got inflation, right? And then now, obviously, some of the things haven't come back as fast in this diocese as I think as it has in other Catholic dioceses because of some of the uncertainty of the diocesan bankruptcy and the like. So there's a number of factors that are slowing down. And then we have the same thing. People have moved away. People have died. All those elements. Okay? Next slide. What I did is I put together a couple of, just to look at 3 years, just to give you an idea of the order of magnitude. And I took out 20 and 21 because they were just kind of wonky years. You diocese had us lay off half the staff, and then some money came in, we got a PPP loan, that guy went from a loan to being a grant, so you got the money, blah, blah, blah. But 2019 would be the last full year before COVID. We had about total revenue for operations now. This is the running the parish. This is from what we call plate. Plate is the basket. It's writing the check. It's your electronic EFT. I always get ETF and EFT confused. EFT. I know. We like ETFs, investments. And then we'll have periodic ones where they come out of people's 401ks or, for RMDs and other that are more not regular but kind of periodic. And then we have what we call other, and that's all the fees associated with some of the programs that Kim talked about. We charge people for faith formation. We have fees for other restricted donation funds for this facility maintenance and for the youth. So we have these other income streams. So we went basically in 2019 from $1 million plus to down about 6% in 2022. Okay, and I'm using 2022 as sort of like kind of a return to normal. And then you'll see expenses. We've been pretty good. I'm pretty frugal, so I don't like to spend a lot of money, and so we've been pretty good at managing expenses here. We sort of right-sized some of the full-time versus part-time positions during COVID, and I think we did a better job and saved some money that way. But the important thing is look at the last two columns. I looked at a year-to-date 2022 versus year-to-date 2023. And that's through August. And we're down about 13%. So we had a big drop-off. And again, these people aren't coming back to church. We don't have as many masses, obviously, for the basket to pass, as well as people who have moved away, died, just have dissipated, okay? And on the bottom I've done is just also give you an idea of the order of magnitude of the amount of cash. The cash is unrestricted. So it's not part of the capital campaign. It's not tied to some other designated spending requirement. That's what it's like the money in the bank. Okay. Last slide again. Last slide, I'm done. So the thing I wanted to talk about is the future. And I know Father Jimmy's going to talk next about all his visions of things we need to do, what he'd like to do. But I see really three challenges. One is, what are those programs that bring people back? Me, personally, I have a 28-year-old daughter. How do you get the young adults back in? Okay, they're not married yet. How do you bring them back in? Whether it's social justice programs or the like. How do you draw them back into the church? And I'm sure he's got plenty of ideas that he'd like to share with you. The other is expand the use and monetize this facility. And I will say that Gianni and Martha are on the case, and they've got a lot of good ideas, and we're so grateful to have them part of the team here. And then the other is what I'll call broad participation. And obviously, financial participation isn't only just going and asking people to dig deeper, and obviously we'll do that. But part of it is to go back out to the faith formation families more effectively. Go back out to the school families that weren't part of the history more effectively. Go to the people who are, the CNOs, the Catholics in name only, the ones who come for twice a year for Christmas and Easter, to get them back in. And that's where getting programs to get more participation, more involvement, I think is where Father Jim's going to be taking the parish over time. So finally, something called Giving Trends is a stewardship program that we have recently embarked on, or will be embarking on. And this is an outside group that actually organizes stewardship campaigns. The time, talent, and treasure messaging. And not only to the existing group of people, like the folks that are sitting here, but trying to expand the reach, getting more people involved, finding the people that are out there, and they've got all kinds of interesting demographics and other information that I think I'm pretty impressed with so far. So that is kind of where we think we need to go in terms of being able to get more involvement and translate it into more financial support over time. So there'll be questions afterwards, but I do want to just end it here, and I thank you for your attention. Turn it over to Father Jim.
All right. So in the interest of time, we have 30 minutes. I want you to ask questions. I'll make it short for my presentation because I guess in your questions I can put my answer to those questions and the rest of the team. Anyway, so you have seen what the staff and the ministries that we have here, the parish, what we're doing. They're a concretization of the vision. I will be here at least for the next 3 to 5 years, 6 years. So I finished my first year, and then I'm going second. So I have 4 years unless the bishop assigns me somewhere else. Anyway, so here's my vision. And this vision, I wrote this based from your synod and synodality, based from my 1 year of listening in different ways, formal and informal. And to me, this is what you are saying. This is not just about Father Jimmy. To build a vibrant, welcoming, and missionary parish community centered on Jesus Christ. So reflect on this. This is what you're gonna hear from me for the next 6 years, 3 to 6 years, 3 to 5 years. I think this is where we are. This is what you are telling me before I came, and when I came, and I listened to all of you. Then, there are 3 goals in order to meet this vision. 1 is to grow and promote a culture of fellowship and hospitality in the parish community. The parish council that I just organized, we never had a parish council for the last 40 years. I was told, okay, that we didn't have. And I'm gung-ho to have this because I believe in parish councils. I have seen this in Boston. I have seen this here in our diocese. As you know, I was assigned in Boston as a deacon. So, in the research that I gave to the parish council is this. Number 1, in the 34 million active Catholics, 2022, 45,000 people says, in the longitudinal research, says the number there 5, hospitality. This is what we're looking for. And you know what? When I came here, and a lot of parishioners, new parishioners who came here, they're always saying, our community is a welcoming community. We're hospitable. So we just need to continue to grow in this particular area of hospitality and fellowship. Because if we're not hospitable, if this is biblical, I can talk about this thing for 3 more hours, just hospitality. But the point is, this is what our fellow Catholics are looking for, and I think this is what we're looking for. And this is in order to respond to the vision. That's 1. Next. The next one is to strengthen and deepen the spiritual/prayer and sacramental life of the parish. Obviously, we're a Catholic church, and we believe in sacraments, we believe in spirituality, prayer. That's very important to all of us. Otherwise, if we don't have this objective, we're not, we're like a social agencies. The government can do that. This is the church, right? And this is why we are here as well. To strengthen and deepen our relationship with Jesus, with God. The third one is to live out the call of missionary discipleship through compassion and service of others. one of the things that we're very strong when I came here is really the service. Christoph talked about, the outreach or social justice. But there's something here that's very important to me. We go out for mission. Because we Catholics, we have the tendency to be just us. We have to multiply. That's why I'm very strong with having our young people, the young adults to come, to see the church. I always say this at the funeral. I think they often hear this. Come and look at the church. Have a second look of the church. See, that's very important, especially these days. So I want us not only to serve others, but also to be missionary. That we need to bring somebody inside the church. Because we cannot sustain our community unless we have new people coming in, whether young, seasoned, or whatever stage of their lives that they are in right now. So these are the 3 goals that I have in mind. And there will be many things that we're going to do as a community, as a parish. Of course, now that we have the Finance Council, we have the Parish Pastoral Council, for example, as far as welcoming people. Just recently, the last 4 months, we have never done this, reaching out to assisted living, celebrating Mass. Sushima is part of that. They're just so ecstatic in there at the Mayoral Gardens. Let me tell you, they're just so ecstatic. We have never done that. This is part of being not only missionary, but hospitality, welcoming them. I told them, and they cried when I told them, you know what? You were so active in the church for many years. You have given your lives for the church, and now the church comes to you. The church is coming to you. Right? And someday we'll be in that situation. Nobody's taking care of them. The Holy Father says, Pope Francis, the culture of what? Throwaway culture. We even throw people, right? Why? Because they're old. And we're doing this on behalf of the community. That's one. Opening our church, for example, from 9 to 2:30 p.m. I like those parents to come. Yeah. Many saints became saints. You know why? Because the church is open. It's not about number. It's about giving them space to pray and to be welcome. This is what you're doing. Yeah, this is what we're doing. They requested to have adoration. This is not Father Jimmy. They came to me not because I'm a new guy, I work for the bishop. Oh, he has an agenda. No, because this is what they've been telling me. Yeah? Other people are telling me about this. I just want to balance the whole thing, with our parish, the needs of everybody. I come here in peace, in goodwill. I believe in goodwill. Of course, not perfect, but if we work together, we can go a long, long way. And I believe that all of us, we have good intentions. That's why Finance Council, Parish Pastoral Council, and the different groups, they're helping me to sort these things out, given the so many challenges that we are facing. Okay? So, I think those are just the general things, and now I want to give you your opportunity, give you a floor to ask questions. I'm sure you want to ask questions. Any financial, ministries, whatever, diocesan, myself, anything. Anybody who wants to ask questions? Because this is important, your questions are important to us. Okay, Mary Ellen, if you can speak louder, it's good. If you want a microphone,
I'm very pleased to see the work that is being done with the children, the young children and teens in our parish. I think the school has been marvelous. I think that the Rise and Shine masses and any way that we can reach out to the kids is outstanding. I think that our teens and our 20-somethings are people who are looking so hard for some good foundations. And I think that St. Perpetua's can offer that. And I thank you.
Thank you, Mary Ellen. I don't know if you're familiar with other parish councils. Our parish is one of the parishes that has a member who is a 20-year-old. Usually all parishes, I did that intentionally. I want a young person to be represented, not always the seasoned ones like us. So, she's Martha Gianna Manzoni. So she's 20-year-old, second year, Sacramento, Sonoma State. Okay, good. Mhm. Questions? Yes.
I also think that the 11:30 Mass that I attended the other day for the families, I absolutely thought it was wonderful. I have two children that are, grandchildren I should say, that are at the school. And it gave me chills to see that many people with their parents in the church, experiencing Mass. And I think this generation is so busy, they're trying to work, and not excuse, but they're trying to do the best by their family, but I think giving them an opportunity to come at an 11:30 Mass and see their colleagues there, their school buddies, it's great. And I think that was a great thing that you guys organized to get those families back into the church. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm so glad that somebody keeps me on my toes, that I forgot to mention an important ministry to the children, the children's literature work. At the 9:30 Mass, the kids in kindergarten through third grade had to leave, go to the St. Francis room, and are led by catechists in the word, literature of the word. Okay, so that it's interactive, and the readings are taken from the children's lectionary that have been approved by the church. And the kids can get to participate. And I forgot to mention that, so thank you for keeping me on my toes.
Yes, Kim? You want to say something? Yes, sir.
Since Christoph brought up things that we forgot, one thing that I wanted to mention to all of you is next Friday, or this upcoming Friday night, at 6:30, we're gonna have an outdoor movie up on the lawn. And so we're trying to do things like that to get more of the youth that come. You're right, we do need a ministry for like 20-year-olds, and we don't have that right now, but it's something that we'll definitely look into. But as far as like little ones and teenagers in high school, we're gonna be starting to do more social fun things like having them be on the lawn. So please, all of you, bundle up, come up to the lawn, 6:30, free movie and popcorn, and just come enjoy an outdoor movie.
Okay, yes.
So one of the things it's those nuts. That's why I'm coughing, whatever it is sort of stuck. Sorry about that. So one of the things that was outlined in the financial picture had to do with the uncertainty that related to the bankruptcy of the diocese and uncertainties around the mission alignment process. So far we've kind of dodged a bullet. And I guess one of the questions that I have is, this all kind of presumes a static picture in some ways based on what our current reality is. And I'm just wondering, since you have your ear to the ground at the diocese, for how long can we anticipate that we'll continue to dodge a bullet where we will not have responsibility for another parish?
You can answer this too, you can add. But first of all, with bankruptcy, that's good, Susan, you asked that. 4.5 months ago, I told you about the bankruptcy, right? And you know that bankruptcy is a very fluid thing. It changes. Now, let me tell you, when the bishop announced that there are 360 complainants, accused, at this time, I think it's not more than 400, but we have 400 more or less. Between 360 to 400. And take note also that these abuses happened during the 60s, 70s, and 80s. The church, as I mentioned before, have the duty and moral responsibility, first of all, to reach out to those people who have been harmed. And I mentioned this, we have stole their faith. And this is not good. That's why we are in this situation. And so it is the duty, the responsibility. We say that we are the Church of Christ, and if we don't reach out to them, we don't help them, what are we? And so with that, I said that our operations will not be affected, the monies that we have. But now, I can see the writings on the wall. If you have 400, I don't think the diocese has that money. So in the long run, I think they will be asking us to share something. Whatever that is, I don't know, there's no formula. Meaning like, this parish should give this or that one. Whether we're rich and poor. Because remember, we're part of the diocese. Alright? And so, which is why at this time, in terms of the bankruptcy, because everything is at the mercy of the bankruptcy court. If it is just with Bishop Barber, he wants everything about our mission should not be touched. Everything, our operations, savings, as much as possible. But if the court, is not satisfied, and they have to address, the needs of our victims. And I don't know, I'm not a bankruptcy lawyer, and if a person, let's say, is suffering right now, he needs money. Yes, we have properties. The diocese has a lot of properties, but it takes time, right? I don't own anything anyway, so you know this. You cannot sell it to, let's say, this person needs now the money, and then you will sell, let's say, a lot, and it will take maybe 3 months to do that. So, where will they get the money? And so, we're not off the hook when it comes to participation. There will be a participation. I don't know what will they ask. Which is why very important for us is to really make sure that we're strong in terms of our giving, because as far as our giving, we're negative already, and then we cannot sustain our parish just getting money from our savings as well. That's why the stewardship campaign, as Ed said, is being launched, and that's part of the thing that we have asked you. I wrote you a message about your opinions, your points, so that we can improve our parish. And part of that will be not only the time and the talent, but also our treasure. So that's where we are. And as far as mission alignment, I think because of the bankruptcy, I don't know, the plan is really, this year we just have 10 parishes. Next year, this coming 2024, maybe they're thinking of, again, clustering or merging. But this is just informal, the bishop hasn't asked us, so. But to me, my opinion, personal opinion, I think they should not do that for now. Because it will, the more that it will, but anyway, that's just my opinion. But supposedly, next year, he will put again other parishes clustering or merging. As I told you before, I asked the bishop in our plenary meeting last year, we're supposed to be clustered already with St. Anne's. But I said, Bishop, I'm new. I'm new to them, they're new to me. All these transitions is difficult. Human as we are, right? And then we'll have another thing like this. So, thanks be to God, he listened, and so. But in due time, it will happen. Okay? Yes?
How many schools have closed where they can sell the properties? Or
schools.
even schools and parishes within the diocese?
I don't know the exact number, but we have some schools, that were closed. I can say one, for example, St. Barnabas, they have closed their school. That was actually a long time ago. St. Jarlath, but these places, these parishes, the reason they're, what do you call that? Is that liquid when they have money? I don't know if that's the expression. It's because of the renting. Chartered school comes to them and then they rent the place.
Can they
But-
sell the properties?
Yes.
They can.
Yeah.
I heard that they could not, but they can sell.
They can, but not the properties of the school.
Parishes,
Parishes, yes.
but not the school. So
Not the school.
all of those school properties lay vacant.
I don't know what they will do with that one, the technical thing. As far as I know, Catholic schools should not be touched because they have it's a separate entity. So, as far as the closed schools, I think they will, they'll be able to do something about that. But I'm not sure. Okay. But other schools that are closed, as of now, before bankruptcy, they're using it, to rent. I mean, chartered schools. That's why they get their money. But the question there is that mission? Is that a mission? That's in the mind of the bishop. That's not mission, because you're running like an apartment complex. You didn't become a church for an apartment complex, right? So it might be considered to be sold. Okay. Yes.
I have a question.
Yes.
We've been gone for the summer and everything. What do you mean by clustering?
Clustering, let's say for example, in our case, this is tentative, St. Anne and us. When you cluster two parishes, you lessen, for example, the number of services. Let's say in a parish, you have only 10 people attending daily Mass. So you might as well, let's say, TTH here, you have Mass here, daily Mass, and then MWF on that side. You cluster, and then let's say Kim, as a faith formation director, they don't have faith formation director, she can do two things. In this area and in that area. That's also a possibility. Or a choir director. That's only as far as events, activities. You can still have your own, things happening, but things that you can work together to save money, to save time, to save services. Because the idea is of clustering and merging. One, the number of people, as Ed reported, it's really going down even before COVID. And then the COVID really exacerbated everything. And now because of bankruptcy and so many things. So that is what you mean by clustering. Merging, let's say St. Anne and us, we will have a separate, one entity now. Let's say we call it Catholic Communities of St. Anne and St. Perpetua. So we have only one bank account. In this case, there's only one finance council. There's only one parish council. That's merging. You become a new person, something like that. A new entity. One parish, two worship sites, but one parish. Clustering, still two. They still work independently, but there's collaboration going on. And the third one is obviously closing.
So do we share priests too?
Yes, we will
So-
share priests, because that's one of the reasons there are, few priests. Yeah, that's one of the reasons. Finances, few priests, less people coming, in church. Yes. Yes.
I just have a question for Molly.
Yes, where's Molly?
She left.
Yeah, she has.
I don't know if you know,
Yeah.
or how is the enrollment right now at the school? I know my understanding during COVID, COVID helped because people wanted to send their children here with
Yes.
our procedures and all that. So how is enrollment in their financial situation right now?
Financial situation, Kevin knows this, they're good. And I know it, they're good. The enrollment is really good. Yeah. It was a blessing, in disguise, the COVID. Before it was only 160 now, went up. Yeah, it's now 270. Yeah, the enrollment. Okay. 6 minutes.
Just a quick observation. As I think about the notion of parish clustering and so forth, and I've had a little exposure to what's happening between St. John Vianney and St. Mary's. And it strikes me that we have a whole different skill set that needs to be applied when we start talking about doing this, so that it does not all fall upon the priest to make that work, which means creating models for synodal listening between the communities themselves to sort out the best ways of organizing ministries, of reaching the needs of different people. So we start with pastoral care as the first priority, but some of these communities are very different from each other.
Sure.
And that's why, as I've had some exposure to people who are trained in, the community organizing, that's really key to then creating a single body of Christ. But it's very human skills that need to be applied. Because I worry a little about the burden that is, if we think of it solely as a clerical model, then all the burden for making it work or not work, ends up falling on the clergy, which,
Should not be.
given all the things that they're already doing, and it's because we're all the people of God. So that's the only observation I have. Going forward, if we come to that place, we need to start thinking creatively about how community is created and how we meet pastoral needs.
That is true, Suzanne, thank you. But there's at least one example that we have. It is Christ the King and St. Stephen's. That kind of model Father Paulson told us. But again, true. I believe in what you're saying. It's very important that you really, work together, listen to each other, and find ways on how to approach it. Father Paulson did it for his parish. Thanks be to God, St. Stephen. They were able to. It took them years. This is not like overnight, just putting priests like that and arrange the schedule, because you're one community now. Even in clustering, there's some collaboration that you need to do. Yeah. Kevin, do you want to say anything about the campaign or what? I keep on asking Kevin because you see, Kevin, if you don't know, for the last 20 years, he's been, one of the main guys of Father John, and him, who dealt with this, improvement in our community. It's so important. That's why we're enjoying the fruits of the labor of all of us, in different ways. Time, talent, treasure. And so thank you, Kevin, for doing that. Thank you. 20 million project, right? I thought he has a special room at the rectory because he never left. He did everything. Yeah. Okay, anyway, no other questions? Okay, so before we go, let me just say this, My dear friends, parishioners, this is our home. St. Peace is our home, where we honor God. We're all here because we care about our parish and want to see it continue to grow and be a vibrant community where people want to come to worship God. Please, let's all keep an open mind and heart as we navigate these changes, and ask yourself, how are you willing to make this happen? What skill do you have that will contribute to St. Peace being the best parish in the area? And so, when you do things after this meeting, try to commit yourselves making things better by offering your talent. You are so special to us. We cannot just do it. Finance Council or Parish Council, this is our home, this is our community. Because when you do, you'll be proud of what you can all accomplish together. I'm guessing you have all seen You have seen The Wizard of Oz, right? Dorothy was always looking for her home and went through trial and error all along the yellow brick road until she realized what she wanted was right in front of her. We all want a wonderful place to worship. If we look around, we can cut out all the distractions and focus on what we each have inside us. What each of us have already. And our home is at St. Peace, where spiritually we already have all we need. Thank you and good night. Blessings. If you have further questions, Finance Council, to myself, to anybody, you can stay. All right, and finish the wine.